What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is my review for the 2024 film, Strange Darling. So Strange Darling is a film that going into, all I knew was that it was a horror thriller independent film. And I have to say, I personally believe that that is all you should know going into this film. Go as blind as possible. If you do want to know the premise, I'm not going to say it in this video, but I will put it in the description down below if you are curious. But for me, going to this film, I was a little bit nervous because it was a 9:30 p.m. showing and I was on 4 hours of sleep. I did drink a Celsius though. So I was like, okay, is this one of those films that might fall asleep to, or I might be a little sleepy to, and that I'll have to rewatch down the line? And I'm happy to report back that no, that wasn't the case. This is a film that from frame one, seeing that this is a film that's paying homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre through both the text that it's using, the narration, as well as the shot on 35mm. I know Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't shot on 35mm, but the colors definitely gave me that 1970s palette that we saw in a lot of horror films back in the day. Seeing all of those and also seeing how fresh the storytelling is really put a smile on my face. So this is a film that it's told in 6 chapters and an epilogue. And what makes it even more special, other than the fact that, of course, it's technically a 7-act structure, is the fact that it's told out of order. I believe it's told in chapter 5, chapter 3, chapter 1, and then I think it's chapter 4, chapter 1, and then an epilogue. So it's one of those films that it's constantly going back and forth in time. And it's one of those things where at first you're like, why is it doing it? Because at first it's a film that seems pretty straightforward. But then with each chapter, you realize that this is a film that's multi-layered, not only with the storytelling, but also the recontextualization of the characters. Like, you find out a lot about these characters and how morally gray they are, and it really adds some complexity to the themes that are being tackled. More importantly, how the ending in particular is definitely one of those things that it is going to test a lot of people's morals. And I think that with film as an art form, that is why I personally like it, because it asks a lot of questions. And it begs viewers to take part in those questions. And I really dug that. I also think that on top of the themes and messages being really challenging, I love how the characters are challenging. I also love how the filmmaking is challenging. Like, this is definitely a film that you can tell that everybody involved was clearly passionate about the material. And I love experiencing that. Challengers, Furiosa, now this are 3 films that are like my go-to for 2024, where I'm like, no, cinema is not dead. Like, cinema is still alive. It's just a matter of getting the right people behind and in front of the camera. And I think that this is definitely a case of, yes, that was the case. Again, going to this as blind as possible. I'm trying to be very vague here without spoiling anything, but if you haven't been sold my approach just yet with all these filmmaking aspects, I will say that it is consistently entertaining. There wasn't a single second where I was like, oh, this is boring. I was consistently being asked questions, and for myself, trying to figure out the answers, and at the same time saying, why is this information being given to us? Because it seems a little bit early. And then later on, it's like, oh, that's why. The directing here is stellar. It is some of the best directing that I've seen. It reminded me, in regards to directing, not in regards to the story itself, but in regards to the directing, it reminded me a lot of The Wailing. The first time I saw The Wailing, which is a 2016 South Korean film, when I experienced that, I had that kind of movie high watching this film, where I was just like, holy cow, like, it is just incredible with how it's able to guide viewers on this journey. And the editing also is a huge part in this film, where it's like, it's stellar. It is very sharp and to the point. It's a 96-minute runtime that there's not a single frame that I think should not be there. Now, here's the thing. I don't think it's a perfect film just yet, at least on first viewing. I am pretty conservative in that regards to, I don't give too many films a 5 out of 5, but just know this film is very close to that. And who knows, maybe on a rewatch, it will go up in rating. But for now, for me, Strange Darling, I think it's an incredible film. Easily one of the best films of 2024 thus far. And that is why, for me, I'll be giving Strange Darling a... Yeah, guys, that is my spoiler-free review for Strange Darling. I do also want to emphasize, I forgot to mention this earlier, I also think the acting is incredible. The morally gray characters are incredibly written, but it's not even just how they're incredibly written. It's also the performances that elevate it quite a bit. Like, they have to go to some level of just complexity, especially by the end. The female in this film, the last like 5 minutes, with what she she did, it was truly incredible. Like, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy cow, it's amazing. Again, this is why I love films. This is a good example of that. I love this film. I hope it gets a 4K physical media release. Fingers crossed, but realistically, if we're lucky, we'll get a Blu-ray release. But yeah, if you have seen Strange Darling, which I hope that you do, please support this film in theaters. It definitely deserves it. But if you've seen this film, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, if you haven't done so already, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, follow me on Letterboxd, and I'll catch you guys later.